This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is Mike at I Am Mike White on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Oh my God.
Happy Halloween,
I can-
Silver Shamrock.
I can probably tell that story. Oh my God. Well, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, guys. How's it going?
It's October.
It's good, but I can't.
Shocktober.
I can't get past. You're going to tell a story.
Oh yeah, I'll tell it when we get to it. That's vague. I don't know. Anyway, first of all, I wanted to get things kicked off by just saying that by the time this episode releases, we will be about a week and a half before Shocktober in Irvington, which we are so excited about, and it's so close, and it's something that's been building for years, even, because we've been talking about doing it for years, and then we're just so excited. So if this is your first time hearing about Shocktober in Irvington, you can check it out at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. It's basically one night event at the Irving Theater in Irvington here in Indiana, or here in Indianapolis, where we've rented the theater out. We're going to have costume contest, raffle, a screening of Night of the Living Dead, screenings of short horror films from local independent filmmakers, J.P. Leck, who he's an author, a local author, and as well as Billy and Brandon from Billy and Brandon Watch Movies. So check those out, and then and come to Shocktober in Irvington. It's $10 at the door, and you get it's going to be a full night of just awesome fun. And then also, if you have a ticket from the Irvington ghost tours in the Irvington area, if you bring that to Shocktober in Irvington, you get $2 off of the ticket price, so you only have to pay $8. So definitely check that out. Links in the show notes, all that stuff. So how's it going, everyone?
Awesome. We did the ghost tour Friday.
We did.
And it was sweet.
It was rainy and wet, and just the ambiance was perfect.
It was.
Did you see any ghosts? Was there any paranormal activity?
No.
But there were a couple of cool.
That's a shock.
Like coincidences and stuff. Like at the climax of this story, the wind kicked up like really hard. Now, of course, that's just a coincidence. I don't chalk it up to anything supernatural, but it was like perfect timing. It was pretty cool.
And the one of his favorite and most, I would say it's probably one of my favorite of his stories, is the Lincoln Ghost Train. And he talks about how there's a section of Irvington where the train that carried Lincoln's body traveled through Irvington. And as he's telling this story, we hear a train whistle in the distance.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so perfect.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah,
I didn't mean that.
No. I know.
That's funny. Whoa, super interesting.
If you want to hear more about the Irvington Ghost Tours, check out our last episode, which was a special episode where we interviewed Al Hunter from the Irvington Ghost Tours, and as well as Tim Pointer from the Spirit Paranormal team, who conducts paranormal investigations throughout the area.
Yeah, and I, as I mentioned in my intro, we did our Shocktober Mike and Amanda's movie marathon.
Yes, thanks for the invite again.
Didn't I? Did I invite you?
I don't know.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah, I just didn't make it down because I had, business.
It was awesome. It was a blast. We watched. I watched all the movies. I had already seen all the movies that we watched except for Joyride, and apparently I know what you did last summer. I thought I saw it, but I'd never seen it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was like confusing it with Urban Legend, which I don't usually confuse movies, but no, I had never seen I Know What You Did Last Summer. I didn't like it. It was pretty stupid.
Yeah, it's a funny, and I'll go on a little tangent here about it. They're actually talking about rebooting it, which, whatever. But it's funny. Well, it's not funny. It's actually kind of sad. The movie's based on a young adult novel that isn't violent or anything. It's a young adult suspense mystery thriller kind of thing. But the movie, the book was optioned and the movie was made right after Scream, and so it was this big slasher renaissance. So they input all this like slasher stuff to it, and the author of the book like disowned the movie because her daughter was killed, like was stabbed to death at some point.
I thought she was shot.
I want to say it was stabbed. It was a stabbing.
We'll leave that up to the listeners to listen to.
Yeah, not the actual crime, but.
No, to do what? Do the crime?
No, you said we'll leave it up to the listeners to listen to. I was like, well, you can't listen to actual crime.
Oh, no. To find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting anecdote, I guess. And it's kind of a funny statement about Hollywood. Like, oh, hey, this thing's popular. Oh, I don't care if you're, you're the creative force behind this. Screw you.
Yeah, her daughter was shot to death on July 16th, 1989.
Oh, I thought it was a stabbing. Huh. Wow. So yeah.
This is America. We shoot people.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So they're resuscitating a dead franchise for what?
Money.
Well, yeah, of course, but I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like there's just like groups of people, producers and stuff, and executives in Hollywood that are like, they have like just the equivalent of $5 DVD bins. That's like the contracts or whatever for these franchises, and they just pick one up and it's like, oh, okay, well, hey, this one is past a certain statute of limitations. We can reboot it for cheap, or we can buy the rights for cheap. Let's make this one.
It's probably the exact formula.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah.
So anyway, and then Joyride I saw for the first time, and that was actually really good.
Candy cane. I like Joyride.
It's effective.
Yeah.
It's more thriller, I think, than horror, which that's kind of splitting hairs, but
right.
I had fun with it. And then the rest of it, the whole point for me is to kind of introduce movies that I love to my friends who've never seen them before. We had a couple of first timers watch You're Next, which
nice.
I talked about before on the podcast, and I love that movie. We also watched The Loved Ones, which is a movie that my wife and I discovered last year that we think is pretty awesome. People loved them.
I still have yet to see Your Next. I need to bump it to the top of my list.
It's really good.
Me too. I just let my brother borrow it.
Nice.
Yes. It should be on Netflix, I think.
It is.
I think it is, yeah. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Matt?
We are going to dive right into the Halloween franchise. I wanted to say it with a little more pump, but I don't know. I'm just so excited.
Yeah, it's a Herculean task. It's something, we did the Nolan retrospective, and we've done some brief retrospectives before. I don't know, but we've never tried to tackle a whole series in an episode, and to do it with one of my top 3 favorite movies ever is a pretty huge task. But I think we're going to try to give it a go.
Halloween 3, you mean?
What to talk about?
No, that's one of your favorite
my
movies.
favorite movie.
All right.
No.
Anyway. No, it's really exciting because I believe we talked about it in a previous episode. The Halloween Complete Collection Blu-ray came out, and oh my god, it was so worth almost overdrawing my account. Because it's so. I was a little hesitant about doing this episode this week because I haven't even been able to get through the box set yet. I'm working on a full review on the site. I really need to buckle down and do that now.
Yes, you're running out of time.
I really am. I think I've pretty much forfeited my Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review.
Oh God! By the way, just do it. I watched Dream Warriors for the second time ever.
Oh, nice.
Today. And because fans call it the best one aside from the first one.
Right.
And I was just looking to see if there was something I missed the first time, and I can't do it. I can't do the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Yeah. I came to an impasse because I watched the first one and I was all ready to write it and everything, but I just put it off. And then it's just like, I'm sitting there thinking like, the next one is Freddy's Revenge. I need to watch Freddy's Revenge. No, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't want to watch it again.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But anyway, we're talking about Halloween. So
we are.
I also got the box set. Tiny, you did not, right?
I haven't been able to. I don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
I'd love to have it.
And so what are our perspectives coming in? I submitted Halloween as one of my vault movies, and I consider it probably my second favorite movie of all time behind Back to the Future.
Nice.
I've seen it several times. I'll give a little more backstory for each one when we get there. But what about you, Matt?
It's a tough call. I mean, I've loved the horror genre, of course, and I've had kind of a relationship with Halloween that's kind of, I don't know if I want to say tenuous, but it's like I've loved the first one, loved the second one, and then for the longest time I loved H2O, so I basically just I had this whole mindset where this is the Halloween trilogy, and these are the only Halloween movies that exist. Because those are the only three that I've ever owned. But now that I'm going through the entire franchise, I can gain a new appreciation for certain ones, and it's certain ones. And I'm coming to it with somewhat of a fresh perspective. I've seen all the movies beforehand, but I'm kind of experiencing them in the realm of being their own part of this bigger franchise for probably the first time.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah.
So on that note, Halloween.
Yes.
1978. When was the first time you guys saw this movie?
Man, for me, the first time I saw it all the way through was last Shocktober.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, I had seen it in pieces as a kid a few different times and just never connected with it. And just kind of, I don't know why, I just never really sought it out, I guess. But last year, man, I think I watched it 3 times last year.
Wow, that's awesome.
And just loved it. I think I can pretty safely say now that it's in my top 20 favorite of all time.
Very nice.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, did it or The Thing catapult John Carpenter to one of your tops?
I think it was kind of both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't pick either one.
It was probably like realizing that there were 2
right
that were that great.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Nice. For me, I remember going back to this old chestnut. I loved Scream growing up. And I remember owning a copy of the screenplay, or should I say screenplay, guys?
I knew you were going to do that.
Okay, anyway, so I owned a copy of the screenplay to Scream, and Kevin Williamson, the writer, he wrote an introduction for the copy of the screenplay, the published screenplay. I think it was just a shooting script. I don't know if it was whatever, but he talked about how he watched Halloween as a kid, and it was like the movie that changed his life, much like Scream was for me. And he talked about how I distinctly remember him saying that he saw it in the theater as a kid, and he remembered like running his feet all over the floor, like pretend running because he was so amped up by the tension and everything. And I was like, sounds like a good movie. So of course, soon after that, I sought it out, and it became just this monumental piece of cinema for me that I carry with me every Shocktober, and now I own on Blu-ray again, in the complete set. How about you, Mike?
Man, the history of this goes way back for me. It's one of my mom's favorite movies, and a lot of my sensibilities and a lot of my tastes come from my mom. By the way, forgive me if I said a lot of this stuff on our Vault Movies episode, but I care about this movie a lot. Like I said, my mom loved it when I was younger. There was this guy in our neighborhood, when I lived in the suburbs of Chicago that would dress up like Michael Myers and blare the 5/4 John Carpenter Halloween theme from his garage and just hand out Mountain Dews, and it terrified me. I mean, kept me up multiple nights thinking about this guy. And so, like, I remember it would be on TV and my mom would watch it every year, but I was too scared to watch it, so I would just kind of like watch it from the corner of the room and then listen to it from upstairs, even though I knew it would scare me. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't look away, but I didn't want to because I was afraid of what I might see. But to, I guess, answer the question, sorry, I'm getting long-winded. The first time I ever saw it was actually our freshman year of college all the way through.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, and I always intended to, and I had most of it in bits and pieces through, closed fingers and things, and on TV, but never the entire thing until I decided, I had, a bit of a horror renaissance of my own, or I guess a horror genesis of my own, when I met you, Matt.
I have that effect on people.
Uh-huh. And then, so my girlfriend and I at the time, we kind of went through a lot of the horror movies we're supposed to watch. And I remember we watched it, one Saturday night at her apartment, and I was moved by how amazingly terrifying it was. And it, a lot of times when you kind of have fears from when you're younger and then you go back and experience them, you kind of find that you're desensitized or things don't live up to the nightmares you had when you were young, but it absolutely fulfilled the terrifying dreams of my youth. It was everything it was cracked up to be.
Nice.
And since then, I've probably seen it more than 30 times.
Wow,
that's amazing.
In
that's
9
impressive.
years, yeah.
One of the I kind of since we're with this movie, we've talked so much about it in the past. But I kind of got some I gained a new appreciation with it, through the Blu-ray collection, because the Blu-ray collection is basically the 35th anniversary Blu-ray that came out is packaged in with the Blu-ray collection, but then there's an extra disc that has, another commentary track and a bunch of special features and stuff. And when I was going through all of it, I just kind of gained this new appreciation because John Carpenter is talking about how they were just a bunch of kids trying to make a movie. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I really appreciate a lot, is that it's kind of like the Kevin Smith thing with Clerks. Like they just made a movie, and that movie happened to be successful. And that's kind of part of the reason why I'm so excited about Shocktober and Irvington, because we're giving, independent filmmakers a chance to showcase their stuff, and it's something that I really connect to, and I can connect to that with Halloween, as well.
A lot can be said about so successful, and I'm putting that in quotes. The first one was absolutely so successful,
right?
There's no doubt about that. But they have absolutely been chasing the success of the first one since, and never lived up to it creatively. Or monetarily speaking, by any means.
Absolutely.
Do you think that's...
And sure, Rob Zombie's made all kinds of money, and I think a few of them made a lot of money, but in terms of inflation and cultural influence and cultural impact, it's not even close.
I'm not sure that's possible, if they can even, because that's how effective...
No, of course it's not. But and I guess I only mean that in reference to, or in comparison to, say, Friday the 13th. And what I mean by that is, when you think of Friday the 13th, you're thinking of Friday the 13th Part 4, or maybe Part 3, or maybe Part 6, right? Mm-hmm. So they continued to make sequels for monetary reasons and trying to chase, well, they are actually chasing Halloween, but they lived up to it later on. I mean, the fourth movie in the Friday franchise is the highlight.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess just when you create something, or when you start something like Halloween did, it's just too difficult to top. Mm-hmm. Do we have anything more to say about Halloween, or should we move on to Halloween 2?
I will say, I'll add this. Today is October 5th, which is when we're recording, October 5th. Wait a second. I'm about to make a Back to the Future reference, but I think I'm wrong. It's November 5th, 1955, right?
Yeah.
It's when he invents time travel.
Or any day
What's that?
Or any day ever, according to Facebook.
Yeah, according to the internet. Sorry. So in 1 month will be the anniversary of when time travel was invented. Anyway, so I watched Halloween today with the Dean Cundy, Tommy Lee Wallace, and Nick Castle commentary.
Nice. I like that commentary.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
And so I was thinking, and I looked back to my own lists from 2013, and it turns out that I watched Halloween, the 35th anniversary, with the Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter commentary 1 year ago to the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is slightly embarrassing. I had a similar experience with Grandma's Boy, like 3 or 4 years in a row, and it happened to coincide with the release date of the movie, apparently. So yeah,
weird.
So I know exactly what you're going through, Mike.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Different quality of movie.
Yeah. So yeah, that's great, and Halloween definitely started something, obviously, because 10 movies with talk of a new one. And what I found interesting in going through this box set is that when talking about Halloween 2, they like at the end of the commentary track featuring John Carpenter and
Curtis.
No, the other one that's the older commentary track that had Deborah.
Are you
Hill.
talking the first one?
Yeah.
It's John Carpenter, Donald Pleasance, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, not that one. There's one that has him, Deborah Hill, and I want to say Jamie Lee Curtis, but they're all they're not in the same room or anything.
They're not in the same room. Yeah.
But it's from
I feel like it was Donald Pleasance.
No, I watched. Oh wow, I'm an idiot. I have it right here.
So yeah. And it wouldn't be Deborah Hill because I'm pretty sure she died before that was.
She did die. This commentary was on. I think it was on disc 2 of the set. It's from. I think it's from 96, the late 90s. But it's John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Deborah Hill.
Okay.
And they're all it's disconnected so that it's they're not all in one room. It's different tracks and put together into one.
That was very distracting. I actually watched that on Halloween a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I didn't mind it. But anyway, it was interesting because John Carpenter was they knew that the sequel was happening regardless, and he and Deborah Hill didn't make any money off of the first movie, just because of contract issues, and they just had a bad contract or whatever. So they took on Halloween 2 pretty much just so that they can make some money off of the franchise.
Yeah.
And Halloween 2 came out in 81, so it was 3 years after the first one? And I loved it. Not nearly as much as the first one, obviously, but I love that it's a continuation of the first movie. And it just kind of closes that storyline that started with the first movie, and it's so few sequels actually do that.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of Halloween 2?
By the way, it by no means needed to finish the story.
Oh no, not at all.
It's a totally unnecessary sequel. But that said, that out there, I agree with you 100%. It's far and away one of the best, if not the best, horror sequels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Same tone, you can look at any interview or any of the press around the movie. John Carpenter was very hands-on when it came to it. He didn't direct it. Rick Rosenthal is the director of the movie. But it's written, again, by John Carpenter. Deborah Hill kind of worked together on it. And it works. It's a very effective movie. It's bloodier, of course, which is kind of, you got to do that because, Friday the 13th came out and made all kinds of money. Again, a rip-off of Halloween, but with blood.
Right.
And so they added a lot of blood too. One of the things I don't like is the score is kind of synthed up 80s wise.
Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't mind it, but it's distinctly different.
Yeah. Another interesting bit of trivia is that while the mask doesn't look as good, it is actually the same exact mask. It's just that it kind of like degraded over time.
Huh.
Yeah. And the actor was substantially smaller, I believe.
Yeah, Dick Warlock.
Yeah. He was like the shortest Michael Myers in all 10 movies, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he there's a bit of trivia on the Blu-ray set. He talks about how he got the job because he was also the stunt coordinator for the movie, and he went and he set up a meeting with Rick Rosenthal. And he's walking, and he was set up in a room, and then he's like, "Yeah, Rick will see you. You just go to his office or whatever." So he happened to find the mask, and so he put it on, and he just walked up and just scared the crap out of Rick Rosenthal. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here for the job as stunt coordinator," and then they just kind of looked at him wearing the mask, and he was like, "Well, is there any reason why you can't be Michael also?" So I'm butchering that. Obviously, it's in the DVD extras and stuff.
Yeah,
but I thought he did a great job. It's definitely the same kind of tone in terms of him, in terms of Michael Myers. And the presence.
We would be sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
We would be remiss to talk about what Halloween 2 did to the lore, kind of did to the story.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that, I guess common people forget, that they were not siblings in the first movie. Laurie just happened to be the person who came to his house, and he didn't like that, so he decided to kill babysitters. Right. But the Halloween 2 kind of implemented she's the sister kind of deal.
Yeah, and it's funny because I want to say in the Blu-ray they said something about how John Carpenter he was drunk or hungover and just whipped that storyline out just on a whim. But it fits strangely enough.
Mm-hmm.
It fits really well to the mythology.
Sure. Yeah, it works. I love. Have you seen which version did you watch when you watched the first one? Now that you have the box set, Matt.
Let's see. I haven't watched the television version of either the first or the second yet.
Okay, I have the television version of both. Did I say before how many copies of Halloween I have?
No, but let's talk about that real quick. I think you said it on another episode at some point, but for this episode, why don't you go through it?
In terms of the copies I have of Halloween, I have now with and I'm counting just the Blu-ray box set that just came out as one, right? Even though there's 3 versions of the movie on there.
Yeah, there's at
least 2.
Yeah, there's 2 versions.
So counting that as one, it is my 7th copy of Halloween that I've ever owned.
Crap.
Yep, including the I have a VHS copy of it that came out in the 90s. I have just the standard DVD that came out in, I think, 2002. I also have I'm super proud of my limited edition DVD, which actually includes the TV cut.
Oh, nice.
I'll talk about that in a second. I also have the 2007 Blu-ray that came out. And then I have the 35th anniversary that came out last year. And then, of course, the copy I have now. I love, just out of nostalgic value, the first DVD copy I have because that was the first one I bought, and I also love the limited TV cut of it.
Nice.
So the reason I asked is because they go back and added scenes to the TV cut,
right? To
kind of establish it's a dream sequence, or it's not a dream sequence. It's like
a flashback.
Yeah, it's a flashback. Loomis goes back to the hospital and talks to Michael Myers about it, and so establishes that they're brother and sister.
Yeah, and they filmed the scenes for the TV cut for the first one during the filming of Halloween 2.
Right, because the idea was that it was going to air concurrently on TV for the first time on NBC with the release of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I watched Halloween 2 for the first time last year as well. I'd never even seen any of it, so I was really pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting much out of it. And to speak on the lore of the franchise that Mike mentioned with Michael Myers and Laurie being brother and sister, I think kind of an interesting part of the lore is the fact that in the second, the ending, spoiler alert, of the second movie, to me, it seemed like pretty clear that he was dead.
Him and
the
Loomis.
second movie?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yes.
the very last shot is his mask and fire.
Right.
Yeah. Which I thought was amazing. That was an awesome ending to the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And also, not to mention, burned to death, but also shot in both eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah.
That ought to.
Oh yeah.
That
But-
ought to.
It's the horror genre.
Oh, I'm not saying like, ugh, why did they bring him back? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, is that the only time that it's like he died? Like it's like you can't make an argument that he lived, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Even more not irritating or even more red flaggy, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
Noteworthy.
Even more noteworthy. Yeah.
Copyrighted by Obsessive Compulsive.
Is that Loomis survives because he comes back for Halloween 4, which we'll get to in a bit. Which is it's ridiculous.
It's also bogus, but we don't see his face melt like we see Michael's face melt.
Right, but he is literally at the epicenter of the explosion because he's the one that flicks the lighter.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a staple of the horror genre. It's retconning. But anyway, Halloween 2 is really good. It plays up so many of the things that we love about the first movie, and it plays it to an extreme while making itself different, and it doesn't exceed the first one obviously at all. But it's still a very, very noteworthy sequel, and I liked it a lot. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by it.
Also, Jimmy in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that kind of survives at the end and they go away with, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his last name is also the same last name of Josh Hartnett's character in Halloween H2O, so it's kind of like a wink that might be his dad.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Josh Hartnett's name is Tate, just like her name is Tate.
Yeah.
But man, I'm trying to remember what it was, but there was something that points to the idea that Jimmy might be his dad.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool because, and that would make sense because, we'll get to that when we get to Halloween H2O. Should we move on to Season of the Witch?
Yeah. Oh, and also another thing I love is the guy that dies in he's wearing the Michael Myers costume toward the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
He's caught in the car. It's Ben Tramer.
Yeah.
And Ben Tramer is the girl that, the boy that, Lori has a crush on in the first movie.
Right. Really nice piece of continuity there. I love that.
Yep.
So Halloween 3 came out a year later in 1982. And the idea behind it was that they were going to make an anthology out of the franchise. They were going to have one movie every year that took place on Halloween and had some kind of Halloween themed horror story to
Which
tell.
I love.
I love that. I love that idea. And had they done that after the first Halloween and done it well, maybe they could have gotten away with it. Maybe they could have made that into its own thing. But I mean, and I'm so gonna ruin all credibility. When I rewatched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, I didn't mind it that much.
No, come on.
I really didn't, and it's not.
You were, all three of us were laughing in the pod chat a week ago about the people on the internet's defending it.
They were saying that it was their favorite of the franchise. Make no mistake, this is an absolutely train wreck, horribly bad movie.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
on one hand, I watched it 3 times in the span of like 2 days.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, because there's 2 commentary tracks on the Blu-ray.
I've seen it 3 times, but you watched it recently 3 times.
Oh yeah, I got to be thorough for my review, man. I'll tell you exactly what it was. I watched.
Good for you. Good for you. The dedication is amazing. They have the Scream Factory Blu-ray came out for it in 2012, and that I do not have. I didn't mention I have 3 copies of Halloween 2. I have the DVD edition. I have the television cut, which is actually a bootleg, which is awesome. Right. And then I have the Scream Factory Blu-ray. But I did not. I refused to buy the Halloween 3 Blu-ray.
You know, and I'm not defending it. All I'm saying is that I did not mind it as much as I did in years past, or as much as I thought I would. And I will say this, that I borderline enjoyed it for about an hour before it got really tired and got really annoying to me.
But then you had to watch it for another 4.5 hours.
Pretty much.
Apparently.
But no, that first hours, I mean, it's kind of a fun, campy thing. It's funny to watch, Tom Atkins, hit on every girl in the movie.
Oh, Jesus.
And
his mustache.
Yeah, it's so weird and so just goofy. I don't know. And I mean, the premise, with a better script, the premise could have been passable. Cause I think it's an intriguing premise. I want to say that Deborah Hill apparently had the idea for it. But I mean, it's a train wreck in so many ways, but I still got a little bit of almost enjoyment out of it. And the story I was going to tell, really briefly, because, you know, when I had the Blu-ray in, I put the Blu-ray in preparing to watch the movie, and the menu of the Blu-ray has that song playing on a loop.
Sing it.
Have a happy Halloween, 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 have a happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock, over and over and over and over and over again.
Is it have a happy or happy happy?
I think it's have a happy.
I think it's have a happy.
And then they also have like three more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, I got, and I'll talk very briefly about this, but I got a text from my girlfriend that led me to believe that she was going to break up with me, which she did break up with me the next day. But so I'm like sitting there like reading the text, and I was like just kind of in a daze, like, oh crap, I got to prepare for this because I'm going to get, broken up with. And I sat there for like 45 minutes with that stupid menu playing over and over and over again. So,
oh man,
that was fun. But I watched the movie, and it was, it's the best part of the Blu-ray on the Blu-ray set is that there is I guess Shout Factory / Scream Factory. They made documentaries for numerous movies in the set. And Halloween 3 is one of them. And it's so fun because I can't remember, Irwin, the producer, Irwin Ibens, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but he's actually the producer of the first one who gave them the idea to have it set during Halloween and to call it Halloween. Anyway, he talks very openly in the documentary. And he's like, I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. This was a horrible idea. I had nothing to do with it. And he's very sincere and very open about it. And I got such a kick out of watching that.
By the way, Keeping It in the Family, the movie's directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who is the editor on Halloween.
Also, it's pretty cool because Nancy Kyes / Nancy Loomis plays Tom Atkins' estranged wife in the movie for like one scene. So Keeping It in the Family there too. That she was in the original Halloween, and she was also in The Fog and Assault on Precinct 13. Both from.
I also like the meta. Halloween is playing on TV.
Yeah.
In the movie. That's kind of interesting. I remember seeing that when I was a kid, like a Saturday or something. My dad was watching Halloween 3, and I was like, I saw a commercial for Halloween, but during the movie, and then it kept going, and I was like, was that a commercial, or what was that? And my dad, of course, couldn't tell me because he had no idea, because he's an idiot.
Jesus.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I had something I was going to say, but I forgot. Oh, crap. What was it? It was something not necessarily good, but it was something.
Tiny, have you seen Halloween 3?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Talk about it, Tiny.
I saw it for the first time last year as well. Like, just pretty much all these.
Was it your worst movie of the year last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was. I think so, yeah. It was just made worse by the fact that I watched it on the day that I was sick. I started to feel sick during the movie and was sick the rest of the day. And so it was like a catalyst for my not feeling well. I don't know if it really was or not, but I blame it for that. And I just absolutely despise. I was so close to shutting it off.
Wow.
So close to shutting it off.
You need to watch it again, brah.
No. No. Maybe when I eventually buy the big collection, the big Blu-ray collection, which I will someday, but maybe when I do that, but not anytime soon.
It's worth mentioning about the big set, and I'll put links in the show notes and everything so you can click it and support us. Is that the deluxe edition has 5 discs that are not in the complete collection, which includes like the TV version of Halloween 1 and
yeah, it's got the
bunch
it
of
doesn't
stuff.
have that last bonus disc, which is basically a lot of Halloween 4 and 5 bonus features.
Yeah. And I don't think it has the producer's cut of 6 either.
No, it doesn't.
That's pretty crazy.
It doesn't have any of the TV versions. It doesn't have the producer's cut.
Yeah.
Doesn't have
Yeah. It doesn't have the old special features for Halloween.
Right.
Anyway, kind of I guess a final thought on Halloween 3 is that I can't imagine just how annoyed and unbelievably angry people in 1982 were when they walked into Halloween 3 and expected a Michael Myers movie.
I can't imagine.
I mean, like, I went and saw Gone Girl, and there was a trailer for Interstellar, and I closed my eyes and everything, because, I mean, I don't want to see any trailers for Interstellar. So, back in 1982, when they didn't have, like, internet and you know, as much saturation of promotional materials and stuff, I can't imagine someone going completely in the dark to Halloween 3 and seeing that.
And I'm sure most of people went into it blind.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's part of the stigma about it. I mean, it's not a good movie, but maybe as a standalone movie, it's a fun, campy movie that's not meant to be taken seriously.
I don't think it is.
You don't think it's fun and campy?
I don't think it's fun and campy.
Really?
It just sucks.
You need to see it again, bro.
No.
I think it's funny campy, but I can't tell you. I feel like at times they're being earnest.
Yeah, and that's part of the. I don't know. There was something about it. Like I said, I'm not defending it as anything. I'm just saying I didn't despise it like I thought that I was going to. It wasn't like after I finished Halloween 2, it wasn't like, oh my god, I gotta go to Halloween 3 now, like it was when I mentioned earlier about dropping my Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review.
It's no Freddy's Dead.
Right, or Freddy's Revenge.
Freddy's Revenge, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Halloween 3. We don't really need to talk about it anymore.
Yep, did not make a whole lot of money, and it also killed the franchise for a good 6 years.
Yeah.
Until Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Which I just watched today.
For the first time?
No. First time on this Blu-ray set. First of a planned 3 times, because commentaries. But, man, I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
And it may be because it's the return of Michael Myers that I like it a lot, but it's just it takes it back to what makes the franchise so much fun in those first 2 movies, and it also takes it amplifies it, because they have the kind of they have the town lynch mob after them, and I love that dynamic.
Me too.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of?
Although it kind of paints a picture of Midwestern, Middle Illinois in the wrong way.
Yeah, sure.
That's not what they're like. I think they're thinking of something else.
Yeah.
Unless it's Southern Illinois. I don't know. I don't know where Haddonfield is supposed to be, actually.
I don't know either. Worth mentioning as a piece of trivia that it's a fictional town, of course, but it's named after Deborah Hill's hometown, which is Haddonfield, New Jersey.
New Jersey,
yeah. So anyway, yeah, The Return of Michael Myers was a lot of fun. Introduction of Danielle Harris, her first movie ever.
As Jamie Lloyd.
Jamie Lloyd, yep. Just such an interesting...
Wait a second.
Uh-oh.
I need to go back. Okay. It's Jimmy Lloyd. So Jamie is the child of Jimmy.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I was
So
thinking.
it's not...
It's not.
Okay.
Josh Hartnett.
It's not Josh Hartnett's character, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, it's Jimmy Lloyd. And I think Jimmy Lloyd is in the credits. You know that it's Lloyd.
Nice.
And Jamie Lloyd, of course, is played by Danielle Harris. And I like a lot of the characters in this movie, especially the foster sister Rachel.
Oh, yeah.
Which, spoiler alert, is killed off in the fifth one, and it is
Right.
just idiotic.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 kind of blend together for me.
Yeah, for
4 and
everyone.
5 should.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are very similar, although 5 is a significant drop off in quality.
Man, 5. Oh, we'll get to that, but
Yeah.
the guy who plays Rachel's boyfriend in Halloween 4, only ever, I don't even know his name, but only ever seen him in Dazed and Confused. He plays one of the senior football players.
Okay.
And he's the one that tells Randall Floyd, or he tells someone to smell his fingers. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's it's a fun movie, and he's really good in it. And as the boyfriend who, spoiler alert, is he, I guess, cheats on her. It's an interesting dynamic that they had. It was a nice little subplot, their relationship, and how he goes with another girl and who ends up being the sheriff's daughter. It brings a nice dynamic to it, and kind of a bit of a not lightheartedness, but a different side to the story. And I like how it kind of evens out the flow of the narrative, I guess. Mm-hmm. And the kills are pretty cool too. Yeah,
definitely. And that was in came out in '88, which is kind of just after the boom of Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's just super gory, and it's really all about the kills. And so you get a lot of that in this movie.
Right.
But I like it. I feel like a lot of it is modeled after the first one. Mm-hmm. They try to hit those subtleties. They try to work on they try to build a story around mood and tone and cinematography. It's not nearly as good as the first one by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pretty effective.
It's a noteworthy 10-year anniversary gift to the franchise.
Absolutely. And at the end of the movie, the lynch mob, the hillbillies, they shoot him up, and then he flies into a ditch by an abandoned mine. Yeah, and then we get Halloween 5. 1 year later. Yep. Which I haven't gotten a chance to watch Halloween 5 yet, so I'm a little rusty, but after watching it the first time, I've only seen it maybe once, after watching it, I was so floored, because they introduced something in the last act that was like, and maybe it was because I was reading The Dark Tower at the time, and it kind of really reminded me of the main character and that, but it was just such an interesting thing that the Man in Black, why don't we talk, Mike, why don't you talk about it? Because I'm rusty on it. Sure. So it turns out that, now I said 1 year later, I mean chronologically in terms of the movie, and also literally 1 year later, they put this movie out. So anyway, Michael has been cared for by a hermit in the mine shaft, apparently. I forgot about that. And, oh, by the way, at the end of 4, we didn't mention, I think the idea, or that they say the idea, was that the powers, Michael's powers, or evil, had been transferred onto Jamie. Right. And she stabs her her foster mother.
That was cool.
That was very cool.
It is very cool. It's very effective. It's the same scare we get early on in the first one. They're trying to go back to, what is a child capable of? She's wearing the clown suit to kind of echo the first movie, and that's completely abandoned.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that she's a mute due to the trauma.
Right.
However, she does exhibit signs of a telepathic link with her uncle. And to that I say, what the f***?
I was going to say, does that, I remember that and thinking it was relatively out of place.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's 100% supernatural. It's not, we don't have anything supernatural in the franchise up to that point. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, there's just this whole telekinesis, thing, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Not telekinesis.
Telepathic?
Telepathic, thank you.
Yeah.
Telepathy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Telepathy. So it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
I tried to tell you that in my mind.
It's such an interesting idea, and that's the tragedy. It's such a cool idea if they were to have gone there, and I'm sure it was Mustafa Akkad, rest in peace, I guess, who said no. Listen, stop. All right, I'm sure he's a great guy, but come on. I can't beholden to every dead person some sort of sentimentality.
Right.
I'm sorry.
It's like what Adolf Hitler said, or rest in peace, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, Mustafa Akkad is a family man. He's a nice guy, whatever. But he's made a lot of movies.
True.
He is responsible for several Halloween movies.
Right.
So, whatever. I'm calling him out beyond the grave. I apologize to the family, to the Akkad estate.
Right.
Mustafa Akkad said, "We will not have a Halloween without Michael Myers ever again. Remember Halloween 3? We're not doing it." So they went back to the drawing board and decided to resurrect Michael Myers and make it so that Jamie has a telepathic link. Stupid.
Yeah.
Further, Michael Myers, one of Michael Myers' first kill, like I said earlier, is Jamie's foster sister, Rachel. Just unceremonious death, whatever, to replace her with Tina, who is so annoying I can't even stand it.
I'm dreading watching this movie now.
so many final girls in movies, and I guess I can't tell who is the final girl. I guess it's Jamie, but she's a little girl, but her keeper, I guess, Tina. So many of them are forgettable. Like, so many of the bodies in horror movies are forgettable. And like, the worst you can say about them is that they're forgettable. Tina is not forgettable. She's just awful and annoying and not a good actress. And compared to Rachel, why would they make that switch? Had to be a money thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm eager to get to the special features for it.
I listened to the Halloween 4 commentary maybe something like 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And I know that they mentioned that, it was Daniel Harris and it was Ellie Cornell do the commentary on that. And they both kind of talk about how much of a bummer it is that they didn't get to be in the fifth one together all that much. And it's more than just a bummer. I mean, it makes for a really crappy movie experience.
Yeah. Totally understand.
Ellie Cornell does the commentary on 4 and 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
So I guess it's that one she talks about being bummed out. Whatever.
That's cool.
Also, worst mask in the franchise, by the way.
Really?
The worst mask. I guess, in my opinion. But anyway, to your point, Matt, so he goes on, and all along, this guy in a black trench coat and a hat is following the events of the movie. And
who reminds me of Roland Deschain.
What's that?
He reminds me of the main character in Dark Tower. Anyway.
And then so the climax of the movie takes place in the old Myers house.
Yeah.
And Michael actually stabs her in the leg at one point, but they had to cut that out of the movie because of the MPAA. But you can see the carnage. Anyway, follows her into the attic where she takes his mask off and he cries and she says, "Uncle?" And so anyway, The whole plan was for Loomis to use Jamie, who is now talking again, by the way, as bait. They catch Michael, shoot him with a tranquilizer gun, beat him with a wooden plank, load it up into the sheriff's station, into the car, and then taken to the maximum security, eventually to go to a maximum security prison. He's at the sheriff's station. Everything is happy on that side until there's an explosion, and the Man in Black comes in, shoots a bunch of officers, and then takes Michael away.
Which could have been kind of interesting.
Sure. The movie is poorly executed.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea that we might get some backstory on Michael Myers could be interesting.
Yeah. And I love the idea of the kind of cult thing. I really like that idea. And they fumbled it in 6.
They punted it. By the way, a punt, Matt, in football.
Oh, that's when the kicker does when the kicker actually makes the
when
name.
the kicker makes a touchdown.
It's when football actually makes sense as a name for that sport.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember the guy we met at PopCon who interviewed?
Chick McGee's a punter?
God.
Pat
McAfee.
They should call him Punt McAfee, am I right?
Best kicker, best punter in the NFL.
Oh, well, they should call him
I don't
Punt
know.
McAfee.
The guy the Bears have, this Pat McDonald, like the only punter drafted in the last something, like nobody drafts a punter, and they drafted this Pat O'Donnell guy. He is good. Well, he booted like a 70-yarder today. It was crazy.
So did Pat Mack, and he is statistically the leading punter in the NFL right now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you know who is also really good at punting? The Man in Black for punting Michael Myers out of prison. So
your girlfriend for punting you to the curb.
Oh,
bird!
Oh, that hurts. Whoa!
Get Matt some aloe vera.
Oh.
You need some ointment for that one.
Yeah, I do.
I love you, Maddie.
It's okay.
That was an easy joke.
It was.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Also, you have a really happy marriage. Anyway.
Anyway, so would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But I guess because the movie was so terrible, it just really made not a whole lot of money, and then it took a couple of years for them to make Halloween 6, and they did.
They did.
And I wish they hadn't.
You know, I'm kind of excited to get to this one in the set, solely because the producer's cut's in it, and I'm very curious about the producer's cut because from what I understand, from what one of my coworkers tells me, is that the producer's cut delves more into the kind of cult lore and mythology.
No.
No.
It does a little bit. It touches it a little bit.
Ugh.
But
sucks.
not enough to fix it. And also, by the way, the lore is something else almost entirely from the Man in Black thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a total secondary idea. There's a little bit of Curse of the Thorn, a little bit of that, but there's no mention, very little mention of the Man in Black, and it's only because they realized they had to touch on that. That there's even any mention of it. There's a lot wrong with this movie.
That's a shame.
It is a shame.
Yeah.
This is one with Paul Rudd, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Which
that's what I have to contribute to this conversation.
As a grown Tommy Doyle.
I will give them credit. That's kind of cool to kind of keep it with that, or to call back that way. But I mean,
adult Tommy Doyle.
Yeah, the kid that Jamie Lee Curtis was babysitting in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I picked up on that when I watched it.
Huh. Do we have anything more to say about Curse of Michael Myers?
Yeah, just that they tried to cast Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd in the movie, but didn't like her death sequence. It didn't like how early it was in the movie, and just that it was ineffective. So she decided to back out of it. It's also the first movie produced by Dimension or distributed by Dimension Films,
Right.
And it kind of has that feeling, doesn't it?
From what I remember, yeah, but not nearly as much as the next one.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're right. It's but there are some scenes that I think are interesting. There's a scene where they go to, I think it's the mental ward or something like that. I don't know. It's been a year since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going through, and there's just some really cool, scary flashes. Just they play with lighting, and there's a lot of blood, and it's kind of effective and interesting. It's the climactic sequence.
Okay.
So I don't know. I didn't mean to say that they completely ignore the Man in Black thing. I mean, they address who that is, but it's not. It totally seems like a secondary thing.
Okay.
At least to me.
I still would love to do like a fix the franchise episode.
Oh geez, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I just think it could have been really cool to kind of go into the kind of nationwide or global kind of lore or whatever that Michael Myers has brought on. Like, there's these people that are nefarious by nature or whatever, which is my rap group name. Copyright. Anyway, but I just imagine like it would be cool to have them as this. They recognize that Michael Myers is evil, is the personification of evil, and they want to harness that. And they're like basically fanboys for Michael Myers, and they want to take him to do their own thing. I think that's an intriguing concept.
It is. You surely don't get all that in the producer's cut.
That's a shame.
That's not even close.
I'd watch that.
Well, I won't spoil
Watch
it
the
for
hell
you.
out of it.
Just
okay.
I'll let you be surprised by the producer's cut. But there's a little bit more with Loomis. And that's about it.
Okay.
Which is crazy because Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Loomis, is like at the end of his rope in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a man that is clearly, sadly enough, I don't mean to sound insensitive, clearly he's dying while this movie is being made.
Right.
I mean, his speech is labored. He just doesn't look good.
Oh, I'm dreading that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Dr. Loomis was like Donald Pleasance was like cartoonish in these movies.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Loomis all that much. Do you think he's cartoonish? Matt, do you think he's worthwhile?
I wouldn't say he's cartoonish. After seeing Behind the Mask, I feel like that doesn't hamper my enjoyment, because Behind the Mask, or as Leslie Vernon has they call attention to this type of character, and they call it like he's excited because he has an Ahab. That's the what the character is called, I guess, in this genre. But I don't think he's that cartoonish. I love him in these movies. The first one, he's really good at showing the urgency of it.
The first one, he's phenomenal. I'm talking like 4, 5, and 6. He's just crazy.
Right. Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he absolutely becomes cartoonish. He's needed in the first one because without him, Michael Myers is just a crazy guy with a knife.
Right.
Right.
It's Loomis running around saying he's evil. The evil is returned.
Right. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6, he's kind of a broken record.
Yeah.
I even thought, like, when I was watching 4, when he's talking to the head of the institution, he's like, "No, you let him out. You're not supposed to let him out," and all that. And then the guy's like, "Come on, really? Like, just stop." And I'm like, I kind of feel the same way. He's been saying this for he's saying it in the 2 other movies, but yeah, I love Donald Pleasance as an actor, though.
Yeah,
and in these movies, he's fun. And even in the lesser movies, he's fun. And he was a good Blofeld in James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why people know him. That's why he got such a high billing when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
so
you mentioned fix the franchise, and I thought that was interesting of you to say that as we're talking about this movie, because they kind of tried to, didn't they?
With H2O?
H2O.
Well, they did sort of. Well, it's actually interesting. I'll go into a little spiel about it. Halloween H2O came out in 1998, and Kevin Williamson, who did Scream and Scream 2, he was charged with writing it. Like, I guess he was a co-writer on it, and I believe it was him, sat down with the intention, or maybe the studio wanted him to do this, but to basically fix the franchise, to basically take all of everything in the past and the franchise to that point and put it together into one movie that fixed everything, all the continuity errors, all the plot holes, all that stuff.
We should sorry to interrupt. We should go back a little bit further. Basically, Jamie Lee Curtis approached Mustafa Khad, Malika Khad, and approached John Carpenter to do a 20-year thing.
I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah, it was the fact that she wanted to do it that they even made it happen.
Nice.
That she was willing to do it. And then so that's where it comes in, Kevin Williamson.
Okay. Cool.
So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's definitely a late 90s slasher movie. But anyway, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Kevin Williamson decided that, okay, it's impossible. So his whole idea, or whoever else wrote it with him, was to make a movie that was the third part of a trilogy started with Halloween 1 and 2. So it ignored 4 through 6. It ignored Season of the Witch, obviously. And so that's where kind of the genesis of my whole thought pattern of having only 1, 2, and H2O as a continuous story, as a self-contained trilogy came from. And story-wise, it did a good job.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. But
in terms of tying it all together,
yeah, I thought so.
And the first two, I guess,
making it compelling as well.
Yeah,
I actually cared about the characters.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about in both ways. In terms of tying it together canon-wise and also in the story is good.
Yeah.
Because I'm agreeing with both of those. I'm just trying to clarify.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fun, although the more I watch it, the more I'm disappointed in just how 90s slasher it is, because there's Marco Beltrami did the score, he did the score for Scream and Scream 2, and probably Scream 3, I don't know. But there's a piece there's a part of the movie where Michael is chasing, I believe it's the scene where he's chasing Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams, future Academy Award winning actress Michelle Williams. I made that prediction like a year ago, but it'll happen. Anyway.
Yeah.
Where he's chasing them and they're chasing through the campus and stuff, and the score is so Scream. Like, it's lifted from Scream. There's no other explanation, because it sounds exactly like something from Scream. And even the way that Michael walks in that scene, if I remember correctly, is very, very ghost-facey. And I didn't really like that at all, because,
I don't know. It's been a couple years since I've seen that, but based on my memory, I don't know that I'd agree with you. Because
really?
Ghostface runs most of the time.
He does.
Michael was walking.
And Michael was walking, but I want to say that he had kind of a little bit of a hop in his step.
Had hop to step.
When I watch it again, we'll revisit it when we each get to it, I guess. But I do remember just feeling like this is not John Carpenter's Michael Myers. This is, Scream. This is Dimension Films capitalizing on the success of Scream and the resurgence of slasher movies. Version.
I've said so many times before on this podcast how horror is cyclical and derivative and influential to other horror. I mean, that's just how it goes. Halloween came out, influenced by movies like Psycho, and then that spawned Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th became successful, so Halloween had to copy it. Did that unsuccessfully, and then Scream came along, influenced again by Halloween, so Halloween tried to come out again and copy Scream. It's kind of sad to see
It
Halloween
is.
playing catch up the way it does.
It is, and I mean, H2O is a good movie. Like we said, it does a good job of tying things up and putting, again, kind of similar to, I guess similar to Halloween 4. It's like it's a nice little like 20-year anniversary gift to the franchise.
Oh yeah, much better than the 10-year anniversary gift.
Right, and it's has a lot of nice callbacks and stuff, like Michelle Williams looking out the window in class and not paying attention to the teacher and getting called on and all that, and seeing Michael and then not seeing Michael. So it's a fun movie. It's a lot of fun, actually. Also,
yeah, I like it a lot. There's very little I dislike about the movie.
Also, as a security guard myself, I truly appreciate that LL Cool J plays a security guard and survives.
Yes.
LL Cool J?
Ladies love Cool J.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that what it stands for? For real?
Yeah.
Ladies love Cool James.
Cool James, yeah.
Yep.
Kind of wish he would have died in the movie now. Just kidding.
Racist.
By the way, another thing they lifted from Scream was that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was billed for the movie. You know, people.
Oh yeah.
That died.
The pre-credit
Very
kill.
early on. Also, Josh Hartnett's film debut.
Yeah, and a lot of good it did him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm kidding. I liked Lucky Number 11.
It did do him good. I
It-
mean, he
it
had
did.
a successful career. I think he's intentionally stopped.
Probably.
Didn't he? I mean, he had a string of hits for a while.
He did.
I like The Faculty.
Yeah, The Faculty
That's
was
a
Yeah.
fun movie.
Yeah,
I think he quit on purpose.
probably. I
Another
don't know.
Kevin Williamson movie.
Yeah, another Kevin Williams movie.
I think he was supposed to
I
be on
love my favorite thing is when my favorite scenes are when Jamie Lee Curtis is talking to the George Clooney Jay Leno's brother.
Adam, is it Adam Arkin?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, I think
just
so.
about the history and kind of explaining the events of 1 and 2.
That's
And
the best way to describe him.
yeah, it's perfect, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jay Leno and George Clooney, like a better looking Jay Leno and an uglier George Clooney.
Right.
What's his name?
I think it's Adam Arkin.
Adam-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That is a good way to describe him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. He's even got like he's got like the jowl semi-pseudo lisp, but that salt and pepper hair that George Clooney has and those dreamy eyes. I don't know.
Jeez.
Whatever. And then he talks about how, my brother chased me around with a really big kitchen knife. I just like the way she said it.
Yeah.
And then she goes in and at the end of the movie, she chops Michael's head off.
Yeah. Or
And I
does
loved
she?
Yes, she does. Yes, she absolutely does. That's the worst thing.
Usually.
What happens next? Do you guys remember the first time you saw H2O, by the way?
Last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to say theater.
You saw it in theater.
I think so.
Wow, look at you.
Or maybe VHS. But, I mean, it was one, like, I was anticipating it. I was excited for it.
Yeah.
Usually, when you get your head cut off, you die.
Well,
I mean, there's some gray area there.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll try
That's
it at
what I
Shocktober
always
in
hear,
Irvington.
that's
We'll try it.
What happens?
We'll try to get back to you.
Yeah. So come to Shocktober in Irvington. We're going to chop each other's heads off, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's weird. Anyway.
I'm trying to drum up interest, Mike.
Yeah. So I remember when this came out, my parents really wanted to see it, and the like commercials for the DVD or for the VHS alone scared the crap out of me. And the usual Friday night at the White House when I was young was we'd rent two movies, one for the kids, one for the parents after the kids went to bed. And Matilda, I think, was the movie we watched. It was Madeline.
Oh.
The movie version of that, and then they watched H2O, and it came out around Christmas time. And I remember going to bed and just not being able to sleep for the entire hour and a half that my parents watched the movie, just listening to the scary, scary music and scary sounds, and it terrified me.
I remember you saying that.
Oh,
I like
so
that.
Scary.
I like it a lot.
Then a couple years later, I saw the movie. Actually, several years later.
Nice.
10 years later.
Wow.
Long time.
So, moving right along, because we're running, we're going. Halloween Resurrection.
This is the campy fun movie.
Whoa, Tiny.
Busta Rhymes does karate.
I just think that is playing earnestly for a specific audience. I think they took this movie very seriously.
Really?
Yeah, I really do.
Really?
I'll tell you what. The first 20 minutes of it, while I hate, so Jamie Lee Curtis's character dies. That's kind of her character comes full circle. She was signed on to do another sequel, so she did it, and she said, "I'll do it, but we got to do it this way." And that's interesting. But it is an entirely different movie from what happens the rest of the way. And I can't see that they're going for campy if the movie starts out for the first 20 minutes the way it does.
Well, when an actor gives you an ultimatum, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah, that's true, but it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as campy. I just see it as just really horrible movie.
See, that's how I see Season of the Witch.
Well,
like Mike, I think they were being earnest every scene in that movie. I think they were being earnest for Season of the Witch. But this, Busta Rhymes does karate. I mean,
he does, and there is that scene, if I remember correctly, where the girl screams.
I don't remember.
Like early in the movie, not even like, oh, Michael's chasing me. It's like she's in an audition for something, for the reality show or whatever, and she screams and it breaks a mirror or something.
Okay, yeah.
But I can see that.
You might be right. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's that it came out in
02?
What year did this piece of come out? 2002?
02. Or 02.
Is it 02? Okay, so it was like post-irony. You know what I mean? Like 90s was every movie was ironic. So it's post-irony, kind of just over the top. But man, I don't know that they're going, like, I would say that at times H2O goes for campy and does it effectively and is not based on camp. But just Halloween Halloween Resurrection misses every single mark.
I laughed several times throughout the movie at its campiness. That's what I remember, and that's totally opinion. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here.
You can laugh at it, no problem, but I don't know if that was the intended effect. Because I think that they thought that they had this concept of like, oh, webcam reality show that's really hip right now. So let's do that.
Hip. And that's what I mean by post-irony. I think it thinks it's incredibly hip.
Right. And it's just laughably bad.
Rather than be playing for camp, it's played for cool.
Yeah.
Like these characters are too cool to be in a horror movie.
Sure. Which I'm really excited to see, to watch it with the commentary.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. One of the reviews I read is that, it's a transfer from the DVD, the Blu-ray, and it's not upgraded at all. And in fact, it looks worse. And it's the worst disc in the set.
Oh, that sucks.
So that's a bummer. Yeah.
Isn't Tyra Banks in it?
She is indeed.
Right.
So is she intended to be a serious actress in this? I mean, you know.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I don't know if they went in because they had H2O was like this was the big. I feel like H2O was supposed to reboot things or was supposed to bring Michael into the 90s and into the 20, whatever. In the 90s, the way that Curse of Michael Myers couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think different parties had different intentions. You know what I mean? Like I think
that could
Jamie Lee Curtis and some of the actors were like, let's do it. Let's pay homage and then we'll call it a day. And then Mustafa Akkad saw dollar signs in his eyes.
Right.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
And you're talking. This is coming from a guy who's only seen it once.
Yeah. And this is totally splitting hairs either. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Intentional or not, it is still really bad.
Oh, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had fun with it.
Yeah. Trick or treat, mother. Is that the line?
Sure.
Yeah, that's the line.
That's the line. Yeah.
That's the line.
So, also appearing in Resurrection is Luke Kirby. It was in Take This Waltz, which is in the lost episode of Obsessive Viewer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Katie Sackhoff.
Oh, yeah, Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I liked in this movie.
She was good in that movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
moving on.
Yes, Resurrection.
So that was it. That killed the franchise.
Yeah. Ironically enough,
they
since
can't
it's
make any more.
Yeah. Ironically enough, since it's Resurrection. So yeah, what came next was 5 years later. Rob Zombie remade.
Now, they intended to make a Halloween 9, and
Did they?
I think I've read that there were Halloween 9 scripts being tossed around, and at least definitely being talked about, right?
Huh.
So they didn't like what they were coming up with, and they said, "What if?" They said, "Remember how much money the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake did?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, let's do that."
Damn.
And so
High art.
They gave the reins over to Rob Zombie.
Yes, they
Now,
did.
Tiny, you have interesting thoughts on this.
Yes.
I like this movie a lot. I think last year I wrote a thing.
Adaptations and remakes.
I don't think it was full on that. Was it an adaptation remake?
I think so, because I think you did Halloween, I did Nightmare on Elm Street, and Mike, you did
I did Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Yeah, and I released it all on Halloween.
Okay.
I was really impressed because it was a big month. Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, check that out. For my thoughts.
Don't you make a big statement in that?
I do.
Yeah.
And let me clarify it.
Okay.
I say that objectively, the original from John Carpenter is absolutely the better movie. Without question.
Right.
Is the better movie.
Yeah,
Objectively.
so you like that one more.
I actually, personally, my favorite is actually Rob Zombie's.
You mean John Carpenter?
I like it a little. It has more of what I like about horror.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. It is 100% a personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone asks, I don't know. If anyone asked me, I would definitely say that the first one is better.
Right.
The original is much better, obviously. But,
And you like it more.
just personally. I do like it more. I do. I like it more. But,
Okay.
But the Rob Zombie one has more of what I like. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm not making any sense right now. This opinion doesn't
You're
make any
backing
sense.
out.
This opinion doesn't make any sense. But
So you want to go back and change your adaptations and remakes post?
no.
Oh. Okay.
No, I agree. The opinion doesn't make any sense, and I don't know.
I understand. It makes
Let me
sense
help you
to
out,
me.
Tiny. Can I?
Please.
You said objectively speaking, John Carpenter's Halloween is a better movie, and that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go for hours talking about what works in the original Halloween, what doesn't work, what was purposeful, and what did John Carpenter just fall ass backwards into brilliance. We can talk about that. It's a great movie, and we know about the influence. Rob Zombie's Halloween is a lesser product. However, what I think you cling on to, and I think this is totally deserved, the movie totally deserves this, is Rob Zombie set out to do one thing, and he knocked it out of the park.
Yes.
Rob Zombie accomplished exactly what he meant to make.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He wanted to show the origins. Again, I don't think that's necessary. I think a lot of Halloween fans didn't think that was necessary. I think most critics found that unnecessary. But he said, I'm going to show you how he got this way. I'm going to show you some really violent and then I'm going to take it a weird way at the end. That's what I'm going to do. Feel how you want to feel about it. And he did exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And I said in my adaptations and remakes post that I care about that genesis. That's what's more interesting to me. Both of the movies have, both the original and this remake have a substantial amount of the movies dedicated to Michael Myers stalking around Haddonfield and killing people, right? And that's not really my thing. I don't find that all that interesting, or
Sure.
It doesn't suck. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's just not my thing. But all the stuff before that, you know, all the tension that's built up in the John Carpenter's, where he's kind of just stalking everybody, that's amazing to me. That is better than anything Rob Zombie ever did. Absolutely. But the beginning of the first third of the Rob Zombie movie, maybe the first half where we get that genesis, that's phenomenal. I love that. And I don't know, that's what I love so much about the Rob Zombie version.
Right. You like it more as a psychological examination of evil.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can totally respect that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm excited to watch it again because I haven't seen Rob Zombie's remake in maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So it's been
Tell
a
you
while.
what, let me look up my ratings of each on IMDb, and I'll tell you.
Nice.
I think Rob Zombie is an incredibly interesting dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love his movie all that much, and in fact, every time I watch it, I like it less and less. And every time I watch the original Halloween, I like it more and more. So I keep trying to find ways into the original Halloween, and I just can't. But my point about Rob Zombie, every interview I watch, I want to watch the movie. Like I'll hear him talk about Halloween, and I'm like, oh, I need to watch that again. Maybe I'll feel differently about it, and then I don't. I've seen the movie with commentary. I watched all the special features on the DVD. I have not seen the 4-hour documentary though. I haven't been able to carve out 4 hours to do that.
Yeah. Right.
But I really want to. But I always love what he has to say, and I think it's really interesting, just kind of the pushback from the studio that he got. And how adamant he was that he wouldn't make a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, I've never gotten the clear story about what happened and why he did make a sequel and kind of what went wrong. And no, it's an interesting story, I think, what happened with the Halloween remake. And I don't know that we'll ever get the real story.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Funny. I just looked up my ratings on IMDb. The original, I gave a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
And that was last year because that was the first time I ever watched it. And Rob Zombie's, when I watched it back in the day, 9 out of 10. Huh. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Objective tiny right there.
Nice.
Yeah,
There
and
you
also I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan.
Right.
Every movie he's made, I've been a big fan of, including Lords of Salem from last year. I like that movie a lot. I just kind of get him, I guess, or he gets me. He gets me either way. So, and I realize there's a lot of people who don't like his movies at all. And that's fine. It's just opinion.
Matt, by the way, how do you feel about the fact that the theatrical version of Halloween is not included in the Blu-ray? So
I don't like that at all.
that sucks a lot.
It does. I want, because it's a complete collection. It should be a complete collection. As a completist, I don't like that at all.
I own both versions of it on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to prefer the theatrical version.
Yeah, from what I remember of it, I think I prefer the theatrical one, but, you know.
The unrated has a very out of place rape scene that is just
Oh, wow.
that is just not the there are certain rape scenes that how do I not sound disgusting? That accomplish what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
They're so difficult to watch that. Oh man, Jesus!
It can have a place.
Yeah.
It can have a place.
It can be integral
I
to
don't
the-
mean to say at all that it's entertaining to watch.
Right.
But I get it when it's happening.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose.
Right.
Exactly. But Rob Zombie's Halloween remake director's cut, the rape scene in that movie is the catalyst for Michael Myers escaping from prison. And it just seems anticlimactic. You know, we never got his escape in the original, but Rob Zombie insists on putting it in, and I just don't love it. It gives a motive. It's the same reason I don't like the movie at all, and I don't mean at all, I mean at all, is just the backstory is unnecessary. They tell you things that I didn't really care about. I don't need to know how he got out of prison. And if you're going to show me how he got out of prison, don't say it's because he wanted to get revenge on these guys raping a girl. Like, where's the backstory there?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of excited to watch the movie again because, like I said, I haven't seen it in a few years. I'm bummed that it's not the theatrical version.
I need to watch them side by side, like I did with like I've done with the TV cuts of 1 and 2.
Right.
Maybe I'll do that.
Nice.
When I do it.
I am looking forward to checking out the 4-hour documentary because, my God.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know that all the time.
Like, I'll have to watch it in pieces, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to, right?
Yes.
Brings us to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh, yes.
And he insisted, like I said, I will not make another one. That's it. There's no reason. Except for dollar signs. 2 years later, they went right back to it.
Yeah.
Right? This came out almost 2 years to the day. It was in August 2009. And when I saw this movie, I still say it's one of the most brutal movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
How so?
Just the killings in the beginning, just the intensity that Michael shows when he's killing people, and the anger, and one of the criticisms of Rob Zombie is that he shows you every last bit, and all the great horror directors will show you that the most terrifying things are left to your imagination. Mm-hmm. I think we might have talked about that in an episode before, just
Maybe.
About what we don't see is the scariest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I might disagree after seeing Halloween 2, because seeing Octavia Spencer's eyes bulge out of her head, well, they're kind of always bulging out of her head. But to see her shake and convulse and choke every time he stabs her is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm referring to the dream sequence at the beginning of the movie, which takes place in a hospital, which
right.
I think it hopefully is an interesting nod to Halloween 2, the original
right.
Halloween 2.
Which I really appreciated. Yeah. I loved that sequence a lot.
Yeah. And it's so violent. I remember I literally turned to my girlfriend at the time and I apologized for how violent it was. I was like, I'm really sorry that we're watching this. And I might have told this story before, but I'm going to tell it one more time for the last time. After that dream sequence ended, and Laurie wakes up in bed, someone in the back of the theater goes, "Oh, this!" Walks out of the theater.
Yeah, you mentioned that a couple episodes ago. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I don't remember this movie at all. I remember he takes his mask off. That's it.
Wow. You don't remember Malcolm McDowell? Completely, just the movie. This was my main issue with the movie. White Horse aside.
I do remember that. Cherry Moon Zombie.
Yeah. Which, Rob, come on, man. You don't need to cast your wife in every movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, was that they completely butchered the character of Loomis. He, like, Malcolm McDowell he was a money hungry guy. Like, he was looking to capitalize on it in everything. He was a tool. And I'm like, this isn't in the spirit of Donald Pleasance's character. And it's just, I mean, I can appreciate them trying to go a different way, like Rob Zombie making something his own, but I mean, at least honor the character that's so integral to the franchise in some way.
And just why? I have so many questions about this movie, and I just ask why. Why did they make that decision? Why the would Laurie, who got chased by a maniacal madman who kills people, why would she have a Charles Manson poster in her room? No, there's no way. That's so unbelievable that she would do that. I fully believe that she would turn to drinking and drugs. I fully believe that she would be depressed and paint her fingernails black or whatever. But that she would celebrate Charles Manson, no way.
No, it's ridiculous.
Wow, that is pretty bad.
The first time I saw this movie, and I wasn't paying attention to the details, and I was basically mostly going off the reaction that I had from the movie, emotionally speaking, I really liked it a lot. And I think I thought the movie was better than the first one, but they just dropped the ball in so many ways. So have I mentioned my theory about this movie on the podcast?
I think so, because when we talked about Horror Hound.
Okay. I think there's a lot of evidence for why Laurie might have originally intended to be, or Rob Zombie might have originally intended for her to be the killer. She at the end of the movie puts on the mask and comes out with it. She's clearly crazy. Maybe that's why she has the Charlie Manson t-shirt or poster. But there's just a lot of evidence that points toward it. Most damning of all is that Rob Zombie says that I will never make a number 3, and if I told you why, you wouldn't believe me. I don't know what else he would say other than, well, here's the idea I had, and they said no.
Right. Which is...
one of her friends gets stabbed in a van, like, outside of a party that is just not in the trajectory of Michael Myers at all. Man, it's just a shoddy movie. It's just poor storytelling, which is a shame because it's not the laughable Halloween 6. It's not the embarrassing Halloween 5. It's not the campy Halloween 3.
Yeah.
It's totally, completely earnest, totally, completely brutal, and just drop the ball. Disappointing.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Sorry, I'm a little winded there. I know we're running out of time, but
you're fine.
Pretty passionate about Halloween 2.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to checking it out again, I guess. I will say this, at least it features Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, that's true. And Weird Al.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Two things I want in my Halloween movie.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
10 movies.
10 movies, and we're at an hour 37. Are we going to have to skip Potpourri again?
I believe so.
There we go.
Yeah. Making bad habits of it.
Yep.
So...
It's a special time of the year. It
is.
It's warranted to skip.
We'll check it out. We actually had a really good...
We promise we still mean to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not... We haven't nixed it from the show, so...
Right. And it's fun. We'll do an extended potpourri at some point. I came up with a pretty fun idea for an extended potpourri, so stay tuned for that. I'm just trying to stall. I'm still trying to stall because I'm trying to find my
hurry up. I got a turtle head poking.
Me too.
Oh, so now you have to...
Well, hey, it's been 2 hours.
That's true. All right. I don't know why. As always, thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Please come to Shocktober in Irvington if you're listening to this in the Indianapolis area. You can find all the information on our Facebook page at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, or find the event page on Facebook. Just type in Shocktober in Irvington. I think we're the only ones that have something called that. And thank you to Loudlike for providing our awesome opening theme music. Their first EP is called Mistakes We Must Make and features our theme song and a clips of events. So if you want to hear music from the show without our voices, check that out. Also, make sure to rate and review us on iTunes, and please like our aforementioned Facebook page at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. Again, Shocktober in Irvington. It's coming up. It's going to be such a blast. We're giving away... we're raffling off gift cards to Irvington area businesses. We're giving away a complete DVD set of the entire Tales from the Crypt TV series, as well as a signed Blu-ray of The Walking Dead and a signed DVD of Sharknado if you need a coaster. And just a bunch of stuff, a bunch of DVDs. I think I might throw in my old Walking Dead comics. Just a bunch of stuff. So come and all the money is going to the Irvington area, which is a great community in Indianapolis. Also follow each of us on Twitter. You can find me, I'm Matt, and you can find me at ObsessiveViewer. Tiny is at ObsessiveTiny, and Mike is at I am Mike White. You can also check out the blog at ObsessiveViewer.com, where I'm trying to post more Shocktober stuff, but I'm a little bogged down. I did just recently release post adaptations and remakes for Gone Girl, which I liked the book and I liked the movie, and check out my thoughts there at ObsessiveViewer.com. Also, as always, check out our sister site at ObsessiveBookNerd.com. It's for book reviews and commentary on the evolving world of reading and yeah, a bunch of stuff there. I just finished reviewing every trade paperback of The Walking Dead in anticipation for the season 5 premiere next weekend. So check that out. It's a lot of words. And then also check out Tiny's side project at The Secular Perspective. It's a podcast dedicated to the thoughtful and intellectual debate between religion and secularism in the world today, and how they interact and kind of meld together and separate and all that. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com. And finally, if you have any thoughts on the podcast or suggestions for future topics, you can email us. Email the podcast directly at podcast@obsessiveviewer.com, or email each of us individually at matt@obsessiveviewer.com, tiny@obsessiveviewer.com, or mike@obsessiveviewer.com. And again, Shocktober in Irvington. Come to it.
Please.
It's going to be awesome. And we also...
it'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Oh, yeah. And we also just got word that we're going to be having a panel and a booth at Starbase Indy in November. Details on that will be forthcoming. But Shocktober in Irvington, be there.
Yep.
It's going to be fun.
And also, watch Halloween movies. Tell us what you think. I want to see if any of you guys have theories. Please let us know.
Yes.
Also, and I know this is going to sound like a joke, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Transformers Part 4 comes out on Blu-ray and DVD on Tuesday. Please, 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 if you listen to this episode, tell everyone you know not to buy it. We need to put an end to this franchise and stop Michael Bay.
We really do.
I am completely serious. Tell everyone you know not to buy it. Please.
Yes.
This is awkward.
Yes. And then tweet us with their reactions.
Yeah.
This is awkward.
Did you buy it, Tiny?
I already bought it.
Did you seriously?
No.
I was going to say.
Oh, Jesus.
Dude.
Jesus.
I did watch it, though.
Yeah.
So did I.
Yeah.
I haven't. I stopped
All right,
after 2.
I'm out of here. Thank you for listening, guys.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.
Bye. What kind of microphone do you have, Mike? Raphone.
A blue spark.
What kind of cable is it and stuff? Sorry, Tiny.
I don't know why that's funny.
No, because I said, what kind of microphone do you have, Mike? Raphone? And Tiny's laughing way harder than anyone ever should at that.
Oh boy.
It's ridiculous.